thing is probably the most studied chemical in the history of mankind.
I'll give you a little thing about Occupy when we get started. They showed up at the Muskegon Township one night.
Yeah,
And I was
I read that.
But I just
Oh, I liked when they showed up when no one was there.
Are we all set? Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
all right.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming, although we have a small group tonight.
I'm going to close the door.
Okay, couple things I wanted to go over. Remember the primary is February 28th, and there are a lot of changes this year for the primary. On Sunday, on the IMS Talk Radio, County Clerk Nancy Waters gave us a lot of really good information, and a lot of that information is on her website. A lot of it involves, if you apply for an absentee voter ballot, what the requirements are to get one, and what you will actually have to fill out a totally new form when you go to vote this year, and you'll have to declare a political party. And if you don't declare that political party on your application for an absentee voter ballot, you will not get one. So you need to make sure that all of it is filled out there. But you can go online. You can go to iammuskegon.com. They will give you a link to the total show that Nancy Waters did, and that you might be able to hear it on the WKDZ site too. I'm not sure.
Yeah, they put it up later.
She was very, very good.
By the way, she did put up a bunch of links if you wanted to go to see what your ballot's going to look like, and there's a whole bunch of links that are on the county clerk's website, and I put different links up there too. That's on the Eye on Muskegon.
One thing that is very, very different for this year is when you apply for a ballot and you select your political party, that political party information is now available to the public. So, but it will only be available for 22 months. And the law that they passed that makes it so that it's available is very specific. As soon as the 22 months is over, that information has got to be destroyed.
That's only for absentee ballots.
No,
right?
that's for everybody.
Can I maybe further explain this? Because as someone who's thinking of running for office, I really like this, but as a citizen, I don't. Anytime there's an election, be it a primary or a general election of any sort, you can go to the county clerk and you can buy a CD for, I think it's $10, and it will have everybody who voted in that election, and it'll have their complete name, first, middle, last, your birth date, your full address, and whether you voted absentee or whether you voted regular. That's an awful lot of information for somebody to get, and you can get a whole county's worth for $10. But they don't know if you voted Republican, Democrat, or anything else. But in this is the first time I'm aware of it. It may have happened in the past, but this is the first time I'm aware. Since you must declare that you want to take the Republican ballot or the Democrat, you cannot say, oh, you got to take one or the other. They're going to separate them. So there will be a CD for those people who vote for who've chosen the Republican ballot, and then there would separate one for those who pick the Democrat ballot.
And that's legal.
And that's legal.
Yep.
Well, and I do know that I went in and voted, and I do know how you can switch your votes, because I did that. I went in, but I had to declare I wanted a Democratic ballot when Clinton was on the ballot, because I thought Clinton would
But
win,
the laws
and I
have
wanted to
changed
vote
now.
against him.
Different issue.
But I did have to declare that I wanted a Democrat.
Right, but there was no recording of it.
Oh,
It
they
wasn't
might have
recorded.
In the 90s.
This is the first year they've recorded.
Well, no, Clinton would have been. That was in the
Clinton was
90s.
in the 90s.
Yeah, but what happened was you would get it on one ballot. You would get one ballot. This time you have one ballot or another. And
There's a
again,
Republican ballot or a
it
Democrat.
used to be that you could you'd have them side by side, and then you would just pick the one you
Well, I
wanted.
did for the primary.
But anyway, no matter what it did in the past, I don't know for sure. But in this one, so you will be a known Republican
Right.
or a known Democrat.
No Democrat.
Yeah,
But
in
there-
the 90s, you declared a party.
You could, right, and well, in the primary, right now, even though you don't have to declare, I don't think you declare in the primary, but you can only vote for one party or the other. So,
The primary is the same way, but nobody
but
knows
nobody
what party.
declared that. Now, this year, only one municipality, the new law lets lets you declare a nonpartisan ballot. If your community has a ballot issue, and the only one in Muskegon County that has one is Urbana, and they have something, millage or something on theirs, and you can just get a ballot that has that proposal on it, but you will not be able to vote for presidential candidate.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see how many people pick that
Right.
particular
Also,
one.
one thing to be aware of, and this is something that a lot of people are going to find difficult, is in December 10th was the filing deadline to have your name put on the ballot in Michigan. But at that particular time, there was a slew of people that were running. Now they sort of dropped like flies, but that thing's got like 11 different people running. Everybody is still on there.
Your people-
From Michelle
I've
Bachmann
never heard of
and for the presidential.
There's a guy named
They're
Fred
all still on there.
Kroger or
Fred, yeah.
Freddie Krueger, I thought.
Fred Kroger. I mean, there's a bunch of people on there.
Yeah, there's people you
Yeah,
never
and
heard of.
Nancy did have a little fluff up there, she said, and Paul Rand, it's Ron Paul, she got kind of confused, but,
Oh.
yeah, but they're all on there. Now, also in this election, if in the last presidential election, your party got less than 10% of the general vote, you do not have the option to be on this ballot. So if you were a Libertarian or a Green Party or any of the other parties, it didn't get 10% of the popular vote, you are not on the ballot for this primary. You can be written in, there's a place to write a candidate in, but you can't be on the ballot. I read that in the law.
Yeah, well, Susie,
No,
that's the
no,
case,
no,
and you've
no.
got 11 people on the
But-
list, how could they have all gotten 10% of the vote?
No, the party. It's the party.
Okay,
The
no,
Libertarian Party.
So if the
okay,
Libertarian only
you-
got one vote instead of 100 or 10%.
He can't
he
be,
can't
that
be
party
on.
is not represented on the primary ballot.
Gotcha.
Did I
No.
explain that wrong?
You have it completely wrong.
Okay.
First
not the
of
first
all,
time.
the primaries is only for the Republicans and Democrats.
Right.
It's not for the third
But
party.
if
Oh,
they,
that's
No,
right.
no.
Yeah, that's a good
Okay.
point, yeah.
That's part one. Part two.
These are all
We're talking
Republicans.
about on the general ballot. Yes, it is 10%, but it is 10% of the candidate that you had running, the highest level candidate that you had running.
but this year, that's on this primary one too.
These are all Republicans, it's a Republican
Well,
primary.
now there is a Democratic ballot, but the Democrats will pick their people at caucus.
Yeah, the Democrats didn't want to be on the
But
ballot.
I believe that Republicans are going to have a caucus too. So
David Wells said no.
David Wells said no, but I'm still on the second district list, and they sent out the proposal for it. I got it 2 days ago.
So so even if we vote.
Because you did talk about that.
I know, that's because I got it on Friday or Saturday before the thing.
Well,
And it's the proposed wording from the state committee
For a caucus, after the primary.
for their caucus.
So if Romney,
Wow.
okay,
Kinda
no,
weird.
not being favorite here, but okay, the favorite son of the state is Romney.
Mhm.
So if Romney doesn't make it through the primary or the February 28th election, they'll just hold a caucus and vote him in?
That's what I
Well,
think is
No, I mean,
available.
did I understand that right, or?
That's what Susie
That's what
suggested.
I would, but
Remember,
Probably not
the
gonna happen.
delegates get a portion by the vote, okay, per the different districts, okay? I'm pretty sure that the caucus is meant to do that portion.
okay.
Okay, so they have to pick people who are for Romney, they have to pick people who are for,
But
Oh, it's a caucus with a different purpose.
Our Republican
Okay.
Party can choose, like, we got 10.
Yeah,
You're both right.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Okay,
There we go.
okay. Let's see what else I have.
Okay. I think I understand.
Year in review. We stayed the course for the Tea Party in pretty good shape in a non-election year. Although we have dropped in membership a little bit, it's, we're still here, and that's a good thing. As far as credibility, we're kind of working towards credibility. And I think the Muskegon Tea Party has gained credibility, and I can say that because we had speakers all year long that wanted to talk to us. I mean, we had a state senator, we had a state rep, we had candidates for state senator, or federal senator. We had Bill Heising, the chief of staff from Muskegon, was here. The sheriff came and talked to us. He didn't have to do that in his own time, come out and talk to us. And we've had commissioners attend and speak. So that tells me that we are gaining a little bit of credibility. 3 things that we've had happen in the last year that promote the Tea Party extremely well. One of them is Jim Riley's radio show, that now not only is a talk radio show, the only talk radio show in Muskegon, it's also on TV every single Monday night at 8 o'clock. That puts our views out there to a lot more than this group. Another thing, all of the videos of the county commission meetings are now available on YouTube. And a lot of times there's different highlights that we let you know about, so you know where to look on the video, you know what to look for. And we also have a Facebook page that gives a lot of information and asks questions about what's going on, and the videos that are now up on YouTube give actually the answers that happened at that meeting. Whether they even asked the question, it gives the answer that they gave when they voted. So
Can I
those
just
three things.
extrapolate a little bit on what you just said? One of my New Year's resolution this year was to every Muskegon County meeting to put on YouTube. Those YouTube videos are also on ionmuskegon.com, so if you're so inclined. Not so much because they're fascinating to watch, but there may be a question, did somebody say this or say that? I take notes of these and I keep a record, so if anybody's interested in double checking, Eric seems to have a freaking steel locked brain for what goes on there. So he's also a good resource for going there. But the other thing that Susie mentioned, we have my blog, which I'd like to make better. I hope I will make better, the Ion Muskegon blog. But Susie started a Facebook page, Muskegon County Dashboard.
Which I really do not want people to know I am running.
Somebody, I don't know who it is, started this Facebook page. Sorry about that. I think we're among friends.
I understand that, but I'm telling the friends, please don't,
Yeah.
don't
And-
name me.
Muskegon County Dashboard, and it's Muskegon Space County
Yep.
Dashboard. But if you have Facebook, just put Muskegon County, it'll probably be the first
It'll
one
pop
to
right
pop
up,
up.
yeah.
You've got what, 1,100?
Over 1,100
Yeah,
friends
really-
on that page. Well, you know how many people that reaches? And I try and be as controversial as possible and still keep the facts straight. I try and put a link to everything we talk about, but I try and be controversial because that makes people comment. And the more people comment, the more attention gets drawn to an area. And Alan, of course, has, several times he's said, I already knew the answer to this, it's a good thing, but since you put it out there, I had to get up and, answer some questions. But that's one thing, we need to use these board videos and YouTube videos for the board, and we need to get people watching them so that they can see how their county commissioner reacts. And does he ask any questions? Or does he just vote every single time without ever knowing the whole story?
And we're not just focused, your Facebook is focused on the Muskegon County Board, but anybody who has any interest in attending school board meetings, village, township, city meetings, I'd be happy to talk to you about how to video them, how to make audios, how to get them online. I can put them online for you, or, we are really looking for helpers who have been out there. You don't have to video it. Maybe you went to a meeting and said, boy, I saw or I heard something here that might be of interest. Communicate it with Susie or me or Eric or, anybody, who's been online. So just keep that in mind, that we're not focusing, we're focusing on kind of some small areas now just because that's all you can do, but we would like to do more.
Yeah.
The good thing on that board is so it's that you can actually answer, if they put something on there, you can make remarks to it. And Ben Cosgrove got on it this week and he joined it. So
County
you're
commissioner.
actually, he's another county commissioner, so you're actually, I would venture to guess that every county commissioner is looking at this page.
He's the one that was so upset.
He was.
Yeah.
Anyway, but it's not the point when he was upset. They're all worried about their jobs right now.
Right.
And this board page has a lot of people on it, and they can't run from it. So it's a good place for you to put your opinions up, because they read them.
They read them.
So
And
it
what-
makes a very detailed, good opinion in them.
What happened to Ben Cross, the reason he joined this week is because I'm on Facebook all the time, so I know how it works. Well, at the top, if somebody sends you a message, they can send you a private message that does not hit your Facebook page. And under messages, there was, when I opened it up, it said you have 7 messages. Well, I opened it up and one of them said, from Ben Cross. And it said, stop repeating all this shit. or something like that.
But it did say shit.
It did say shit, and I said, I thought about it for a long time, and I said, I can't believe that a county commissioner said that. And then I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna share his thoughts. I copied it exactly as he had it on there, and I said, we thank Commissioner Ben Cross for his input, and nice to know he's watching the page. Even though he is not a member, had he been a member, he could have posted this for all to see, but since he's not, I will share it with you. Yeah. So that's just exactly what I put it right out.
Well, you sent somebody an email to
But, you know,
a
he's on my-
website, it's not like, hey,
He's
you're
on
my
my
buddy.
personal Facebook page, and I've said something to Jim about this a couple times. He does not watch his language, and I think, especially as an elected official, when you are on a social media that not only the general public, but your constituents belong to with you so that they have a little information more about you, and that's the kind of language you use, I think that's very inappropriate. And he does it every single Sunday, you can watch it, because he either likes the Lions or hates the Lions, or every Saturday he likes U of M and hates Michigan State. And he posts nasty little comments, and I'm offended by that, especially as a county commissioner. I mean, I've had people on my Facebook page that I blocked because they talk about that. And he's a representative of the people. So, yes, he caused a lot of controversy when I put that on there. And he did join the page so he could comment on it. And he said he was just responding to some spam that he got. Well, he didn't respond to spam on the correct place, if that's what he was doing. So, anyway, I put it up. I thought about it a long
It is a
time.
hot page,
It is
and it touches a lot of information on it. You can be on either side of it, you get blocked or.
Oh, no, I never, I have removed a couple comments only because of the language, not because of the content. I don't care how nasty it gets, as long as you don't, use bad language. There's a lot of people read it, and I don't belong to that. Yes.
On the page, I have noticed on that page, every once in a while, somebody will post something about their building, their township, or something's going on here or there. And so the page could help, as long as it wasn't a regular thing, like if I go on there and say, hey, any home residents out there, anybody know what's going on here, and make it, newsworthy,
Well,
not gossip.
And that, the way I have it said is, if you post something, anytime I post something on there from the Muskegon County board page, anybody can comment, everybody can see it, and anybody can comment. But if you post something on that page, it does not show up for everybody to see, because there's 1,100 people on it. So I have that blocked from your view. So I go through, and most of those things that involve the community, I try and share those back with everybody. If a commissioner posts something, I share that. A lot of in-line things that are good and bad about the county, I try and share those. So if I see something like that, I will always share. But not everything you're gonna post on there is gonna be shared. I mean, I can post the Cupcake Girl 43 times a day, but
I was just talking about those situations that come up.
right.
At the
And
last minute.
if you want something posted, you can always post it to the Muskegon County board page, and then shoot me an email that says, hey, would you share that? I'll be happy to. But the page has taken a lot of heat, so at this particular time, I would rather that they don't know it's me. And I have a little more leeway when they don't know it's me. They kind of think it's Tammy. Well, they really think it's Tammy. But, they actually have accused her a couple times. Tammy and I both responded that it's not Tammy.
And one of my friends responded to that too. Because it showed up on my page.
Another thing that I think is noteworthy for this last year showed up just a couple weeks ago, and the GOP is going to have a strategic planning meeting. And one of the things that the GOP seems to be real concerned about is us. And I think maybe the reason that is because we are what they thought they were. They honestly thought they were conservative Republicans and would have stood from every mountaintop and screamed it until the Tea Party showed up and showed them they weren't. So yes, they're a little mad at us because now they have been outed. And they're also a little afraid of us because we are what they thought they were. So they're gonna have a strategic planning meeting, and several of us are going to attend. so that, and we did have some opposition from some of the current members that Tea Party members were going to come. But, we're also GOP members too. And as a general rule, I would say a vast majority of us tend to vote Republican because the other options are not good. And sometimes the Republican options are not good either, but we figure them the less appealing.
I think most Tea Party people, at least I am, and I think most people who are Tea Party-ish, which is essentially the conservative, fiscally conservative wing, we are reluctant Republicans.
That's true.
We'll vote Republican reliably. We wish we had somebody else who we thought could win, but
Yep.
we're not going to vote for Obama or Gore or Kerry or whoever else is out there. So,
So
reluctantly we go and we vote.
I don't like Gore.
Another, couple other things because we're going to elect new officers tonight. Facing us in 2012, there are some things that I see that are going to be happening, and this has already started happening within the Tea Parties in Michigan, and that is endorsement of candidates. And we are not an official party of anything. We are basically a loose-knit group of activists. And in that situation, we have never endorsed a candidate. If an individual wants to endorse a candidate, I think that's great. And I would open the platform doors for anybody who is running for anything to come in and talk to us. But I don't care how great they are, I don't think it's up to us as a party to nominate or to endorse a candidate.
And the Republican Party, in the state of Michigan anyway, is the policy of not endorsing officially, which makes
Right,
sense.
well, and especially not endorsing before the primary. Because, you don't want to be the guy that endorsed the guy that lost. So. Precinct delegates. Now, we have to run for precinct delegate again this year. So we need to put a push on precinct delegates, because you will run in
When?
August. Is in the primary, you'll be elected in the primary in August.
Is that how
Isn't
it
that
works?
right? Eric, it is, isn't it? Yeah, you'll run, and then once you make it in the primary, there is no election, you are a precinct delegate. They're
So
elected
it's
in the
the-
primary,
Oh,
August.
okay, well, that's.
So we need to put a big push on
Can I-
precinct delegates.
Can you run as precinct delegate at the same time you're running as an
Yes.
office?
Oh, yeah.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
totally.
Because it's a party position.
It's a
But-
party position.
But I'm glad you mentioned that. I guess I didn't realize it was in August. It's really neat. Number one, it's very easy, and sadly, it's easy to win as a precinct delegate. It's very easy to sign up and,
Here.
here, yeah, in Muskegon County. is-
Oakland County? No.
No.
He's right then.
Huge point, probably Ottawa County too. But the point is that it's very easy to get the information to run. It has to be notarized. I'm a notary. When we'll gear up sometime this summer.
We'll make sure we
But
have all
once
that.
you're elected as a precinct delegate, you then are, at least here in our county, you're almost the royalty. You're an elected Republican. So you go to darn near every meeting you want to go to.
You actually sit on the board of the Republican Party, and you will be the basis from which they elect their people that will go to the caucus and make the decisions about how the Republican Party in the state of Michigan is run.
And when we went to the convention a couple of years ago, which was really quite interesting, and again, you didn't have to be rich, you didn't have to know the Romneys or
No,
Holly Hughes or
no.
anybody, you just got elected. But
They
there
were
were,
Portugal,
it seemed to
anyway.
me, certainly from Muskegon County, there were more Tea Party people who attended that than non-Tea Party, and God, it was darn close. Well, matter of fact, I walked in from going to the bathroom, and they had this gigantic, big TV screen, and there is Captain Fred up on this big monster screen, leading a revolution to depose the anointed lieutenant governor.
We had Bill Cooper.
It almost got Cooper in.
21 out of 36, I think, was our final precinct, Tea Party members that were precinct. Yeah.
And that is one thing that does have the Republican Party running a little bit scared, is the fact that so many Tea Party people became precinct delegates, and they are the ones that, when it comes right down to it, and there's 10 of them and there's 40 of us, makes a lot of difference. But in your precincts, as a general rule, there's more than one, and sometimes 5 or 6 people for each precinct. And very, very, I've never known them not to have a vacancy in a precinct somewhere. If you're not elected to as a precinct delegate, the first meeting that the party has after the election, they will nominate people for precinct delegates to fill in the spaces, if there are any spaces. So we'll want to make sure that you know in your precinct how many spaces are left for Republican precinct delegates. So maybe you can get your friends to come and they can appoint them to fill those vacancies.
A good strategy is wives, sons and daughters
Right.
that are 18.
That's right.
Because that's how Holly and all of them did it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have an executive committee within the committee,
Yep.
and you get voted on the executive committee.
But a couple more things, as we're talking about primaries and election time. Sign locations. Now's the time to start looking around as you go home, anywhere you go. When you go by a corner that you can say, that's a really good sign location. See if you know who lives there. Any corners, anywhere. But if you know somebody who has as a general rule, a business is slightly reluctant to put a partisan sign in their yard. And I can appreciate that, you know, I mean, it could negatively or positively affect your business, but chances are of it positively affecting it more than negatively, sometimes they're not good. So I would stay away from in front of a business, but if you know a business owner that has an empty lot, you know, anybody that has an empty lot, or if you have a place that's, I mean, any place we'd like to know we could put a sign. We might use it, we might not. And if we just had a list from you, before anybody put a sign there, the landowner would be contacted so that they know that we don't just show up in their yard, put a sign up. So those are really important things, sign locations. And we need to be a lot more aggressive and phone a friend. We need to, the day before, 2 days before, 3 days before, every single meeting and every event the Tea Party has, you need to call the people you know that believe like we do and invite them to join you at the Tea Party. Pick up a little old lady from church, pick up, you know, I mean, invite people to join us. Let them, you know, make them feel welcome by just calling and talking to them. Now, Jim Riley called me the other day and badgered me into meeting for breakfast on Thursdays because we've been doing it for years and I kind of backed off. And just the fact that he took the time to call me, said, all right, I'll get out of bed and start going again. But, you know, just a phone call, you know, sometimes somebody might have been thinking about it, or you can talk to them about it, just a call 2 days before this says, I'm going to go to the Tea Party meeting, want to go with me? You know, they'll feel more comfortable if you're going to be there and they don't walk into a room that they don't know anybody. And that could really, really help us this year.
We've got a big list. Susie's kept a pretty good list of people.
Actually, Ian kept a really good list. I've just
But the
used what
most
she gave me.
recent, but the most recent emails have gone out to well over 100 people.
Oh, no, well over 200
And,
people.
and we need, and, you know, I'm happy we're here, but we do need more folks. And it's, you know, I'm not throwing a stone from a glass house because I haven't brought anybody in lately. But we really ought to. If every one of us just brought one person in, you know, 2 people in a year,
Right.
you know, we'd be,
And next
have a
time,
pretty
maybe they
good
would
sized
invite a
group.
friend.
well, that's it. And so I want to add one other thing. We have a little group that gets together every Thursday at 8 o'clock. Usually we go till about 9:30 at Carmen's Cafe in downtown Muskegon. And I'd like to invite all of you.
And I was going to call Larry
come.
Houseman and ask him, it's so much fun, we just sit there and talk about everything.
And it's a relatively small group. I mean, we might have as many as 10 or 12.
But you're at breakfast at 8 o'clock, and I'm at Weight Watchers at 8 o'clock. No.
Well, once you get done with Weight Watchers, come on by, because we don't usually order.
Anyway,
till
we're
about-
gonna have a big
stack of pancakes.
We don't usually order till about
In
8:30,
the
because
afternoon,
we're so busy
4 county
talking. but-
commission meetings from 2 to 3:15. But this is just a political
Okay.
gab fest every.
You know, and you never know who's
Thursday
going to be
from 8
there.
to 9:30.
Sometimes, there might be 12 people, there might only be 4 people.
I'm not
But,
going to that.
at last
Well,
week,
That's.
last,
It's
yeah,
just an
it wouldn't be,
invite,
it's
doesn't
not
require-
unusual for
just
Jeff
wanted to let you
Hansen,
know.
Senator Hansen to show up. His right-hand girl from Muskegon is almost always there. Greg Van Merken from Heisinger's office is almost always there. I mean, we got a lot of, a lot of people show up for breakfast. I mean, so it's fun. I mean, it's fun and we, Carmen's.
I want to add one other thing here, and not to oversell Carmen's thing, but we do have some connections here in Michigan. If this primary continues to go on as it is, obviously, Robbie's from Michigan, and if the Michigan primary is, if they're still alive, we're considered a big swing vote with lots of votes, or lots of delegates available. But One of the guys, I do a morning radio show, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's called Talking Muskegon. It's also on KBZ. But the two guys that are there, I just show up once in a while. One's John Van
John Van Wyck.
Wyck. And I don't know if you know him, but he's a pretty well-known guy in Muskegon County. Well, his cousin is Mitt Romney's wife. And he's quite close with the family. He went to their wedding, and it's Uncle Mitt and all that kind of stuff. And I would say almost for sure we're going to see him in West Michigan next month.
He's counting on Michigan.
And well, there's another, I hate to admit it, there's probably even a stronger than blood connection. Holly Hughes, who of course is our state representative for many of us, and one of only 100 national committee people for the Republican National Party, for the National Committee. Only one of 100, and she's been one for many years. She was one of the first, if not the first, to publicly come out and support Mitt Romney. So she's got Mitt's, personal cell phone and all this kind of stuff. And I know that there was some talk of possibly having him come out as our Lincoln Day dinner speaker. I don't know where that comes from, but being involved in the next month is going to be really exciting. And then, in particular, if it turns out to be Mitt Romney, we have some connections, quite a bit of them, that we will do our best to use.
One bad thing about a primary like this, especially when the Democratic Party does not have a challenger for their candidate, is our guys can do so much damage to each other that when the primary is over, the last guy standing is so bruised and battered that it's hard for him to get himself back up and running and win. That's what I'm hoping doesn't happen. But boy, on the way here today, I mean, the radio ads were just unbelievable.
But you have to remember, they're not coming from, that's something people need to remember, is that the
Right.
ads are not coming from the other candidates, they're coming from this new thing that the government's decided to do, is the mega super.
Yep, there's a lot of stuff out there, but you can still be pretty damaged coming out of that primary.
And not all of it's true.
Well,
And, I don't think, even in this group, I would be real surprised if you could come to a consensus who we think, would be the best candidate right now.
I don't think anyone's going to remember in November anything that happened in January, February, March, or April. I don't think anyone's going to remember.
The only thing is, I'm afraid that some of it could potentially be so damaging that the left could really blow it out of proportion.
They're going to do it anyway.
And people tend to believe what they hear.
Hillary and Obama went through it.
Yeah, they
and
did.
It came out
The
of just
Clintons
fine.
were called racist by the Obamas.
It came out
Yeah.
of
Nobody,
didn't mean nothing.
I'm not worried about it.
Okay, well, I hope,
I
I
just hope
hope
they get
we
rid
get
of
right.
it. Well, I hope I'm right too, because
Let me see,
it
what
would
else?
suck if it didn't.
One other thing I was gonna mention,
Like they say, can you
That's
get another 4
exactly.
years of this?
We don't
Oh, yeah.
care. We really don't care. Nobody likes any of these guys. We just want somebody to beat Obama.
One thing too, that we need to be aware of, the Occupy Muskegon group is very, very, very active. I mean, they show up at everything.
They really do.
I was at the Muskegon Township Board meeting last Monday, and they showed up, about 20 of them. And it was Martin Luther King Day. And they showed up to protest the fact that the Muskegon County, or the Muskegon Township officials chose to meet on Martin Luther King Day. Well, they'd given them the option, and they said, if somebody doesn't want to meet out of respect for Dr. King, you don't have to. But all of them except one, who was our black county, or our clerk, said, no, I'm not going to go. But everybody else was there. The township offices were open. So they were there to protest that we did not support Martin Luther King Day by closing down. But there were some real controversial issues in Muskegon Township, and a lot of the residents were there to complain about the controversial issues. So I think they did the right thing. But those people, all of them had a little sheet folded in half, and it was bright yellow. And every one of them got up and read. They could only speak for 2 minutes, and they had it down to 2 minutes and 1 second less. And they all got up, 14 or 15 of them got up, every one of them, and read a portion of Dr. King's speech. Whether it was that, now they ran out of room on one speech and started on another one. I mean, but every one of them, about halfway through, the township supervisor said, do you all have to read a portion of this? Yep. So we listened to every one of them read a portion of it. And then when it was all done, then they did conducted business, and they all got back up and had a closing statement too.
Yeah, if we had enough people, we could read the entire works of Shakespeare.
Yeah,
You know?
I'll tell you what, if they start on
Read the
Shakespeare,
Constitution.
Just reread the Constitution if you.
yeah, we could read
Yeah,
that.
that'd be a
But,
good one.
but they did, you know, they,
That'd be
but,
better.
but they made an impression. They made the
Yeah.
news and they made a video and it's on their website. And you should look, they hardly go an hour without posting something on there. And they show up everywhere. They were at the Muskegon Heights meeting, they were at the county commission meeting. They have made a presence for themselves and they were all nicely dressed. They had big, I take a lot of pictures and I have a really nice camera and they made me look like I could pull mine out of my back pocket with my phone. You know, they have really expensive cameras and fancy microphones and
You're not
tripods
friends with them
and
on
they,
Facebook?
what?
You're not friends with them on Facebook?
Oh, yeah.
I am. But I'll tell you this, they all had bad teeth because they don't like fluoridated water.
Now they're against
And they
fluoride
want
water.
on Muskegon County Bank, is that what it was?
Yeah.
You want
So
Muskegon
anyway, but
County
I
Bank?
did, at that particular time, I heard him say something about, we need to go to a tea party meeting. So I was, you know, about half expecting him tonight, and I do think that's a possibility that they will show up. At one
We
of the
held
meetings.
off on making a big publicity thing for tonight because we wanted to have our vote.
Oh, I mean, we did send out a regular notice, but I didn't
But,
put anything in the
yeah, I didn't
paper about
mention
it
it on the
because.
show. We didn't,
Yeah.
because
I
we just,
just-
but we really need to get going. This is a
Right,
big year.
right.
We have tremendous, believe it or not, Susie was so right. These politicians and their representatives here in town, like Van Workum, who's Hanson's guy, and the other folks, they see the tea parties as really powerful and scary to a certain extent. In other words, they don't want to offend us. Now, we have enough people here that we matter. It sure would be better. I was up in Oceana County. Bob Carr has just done a bang-up job up there, and they had 100 people up there for.
Bob Carr's got, Pete Hookster's gonna be up there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and I can't remember the date.
So anyway, my point is, we can have that kind of club.
Someone said it was the same time as our meeting, didn't it?
Well, there's an Ottawa County meeting tonight with some candidates. I don't know, Pete might be at that one. Bob
If
called
I
me
wrote
earlier and wanted me to go down there.
That's pretty much all I had before we got into talking about elections. 2012, it's been a year. Doesn't seem possible it's been a year, but it's been a year. So last year we had a chairman, a secretary, treasurer, and a vice chair. Well, we really don't need,
And we have them at large.
and we had the at-large delegate.
At large.
But a chairman is fine, you really don't need a co-chair, you know, I mean, we're losing it, and you can call anybody for help, and a lot of people are there to help. And as far as a secretary, we don't really take minutes of anything, but we do need somebody to make sure that the, people have a sign-in sheet, and we have the information so that we can get them on the, we can get them on the list so that, they start getting their mailings. Yes.
You might want to wait till 7. Because these are just coming in, got me thinking we normally met at 7. I didn't realize we were at 6.
Okay.
Okay, well, just a few minutes. We'll just talk about it. Yeah,
Yeah, so-
that's not a bad idea.
We're just talking.
Did we miss
I was
that?
gonna,
Yeah, we started,
I was gonna
we
look
changed,
that up.
started at
I
6.
was gonna look that up and try to get online.
Second month we did
Tell you
that.
Bob Carr's got that thing up now.
But I didn't.
And I
I
seem to think
thought
it's
it was
tomorrow.
tonight.
No, I'm
And
sorry.
Well, the
you guys
thing tonight
walked
is
in,
an Ottawa
you
County.
saw it.
It was
Three
tonight.
nights is very neat.
Well, it's Ottawa County someplace. Yeah.
Susie, just to give credit where credit is due, that list you were mentioning, giving me credit for, Eric developed that.
Oh, dear.
I just.
Eric's a good guy.
Just to let you know.
He's so handy, we just love him.
He does a lot for me too.
Yes.
Well, I think there's a lot of people here that do a lot of
No, I'm
things.
not
that-
taking anything.
No, that's what I mean, but I just think, there's a lot of people that do a lot of things quietly.
Can you ask a question about a candidate?
And I think just.
Sure. Tammy's got a question about a
No,
candidate.
I want to know if anybody here lives in Casnonia, Moreland, Evanston Township?
Or Holder City
Or
Creek.
Holder
Holder
City
City
Creek?
Creek.
That was ugly.
Hey, does anybody live in Norton Shores?
Oh, there you go.
Okay, well, you're on my campaign committee.
That's what happens when they, anybody like candy?
I know that Scott Plummer is running, I'm pretty sure he's picked up the paperwork, and so is Ken Mahoney.
I'm probably going to run in the primary, though, running against Bob Skolnick. And I don't know if there's some other people here giving some consideration.
I'm gonna run against Ken Mahoney. I'm gonna run the primary. Hopefully I'm running against Ken Mahoney.
I don't think, has anybody indicated there's going to
That's
be?
what I'm doing.
Yeah. And the one thing about signing up early is it, makes it so no one else might not want to sign up. And at the same time, that's the information on it, so.
Right,
I don't know what's
But
better,
it
one
doesn't
way or the other.
matter.
I have no way of
I
knowing.
figure what now that Ken has actually decided he's definitely going to run, it's not happening.
If anybody knows anyone in any Roosevelt Park, Muskegon Township, we need to be putting people up against the Democrats that ran uncontested.
Even
No
if-
one ran against Commissioner Plummer, who was Muskegon Township.
right, and he
No,
ran,
Amber
unopposed
ran
last
against,
time, and
And Ben
very well
Cross,
could
but
run.
Amber ended up pregnant and sick, so it was hard for her to actually campaign. And so in Roosevelt Park, but more important is we need to find candidates in these
But
areas.
if no one runs against them, no one even gets up there and speaks for what they've done.
Or what
So
they
they don't get
have
invited
done.
to
Right.
debates, they don't get invited by the paper or nothing, so they can just get away with whatever they've done with all this time. If we run against them, at least, they have to answer for what they've done, even if we can't beat them.
Well, I would just say that I think that we're going to find this out. I've always had a theory, and we haven't seen it much. I don't think I've ever seen it, with the exception of Ellen, running for local office in Muskegon County where you run on issues rather than on a really cool picture of you and your spouse and your pretty dog and your pretty house and your pretty lawn. I think there are some real easy issues that anybody who wants to run against any one of the 10 county commissioners can run on, and that is their lockstep voting with the big union Democrats on every single spending vote for the last 9 years, for those who've been there for 9 years, but since they've been there. And I've documented it, I've got the information, so whether you may be inclined or you might know someone else who said, I might consider it, but I don't know what's involved. Certainly, you can speak with Alan or Tammy or Eric or myself or any one of us who've been interested, but we are building up information for those people who might be interested in running for county commission seats. And I firmly believe, and we're going to find out, because I probably get the hardest challenge of anybody, because Bob Skolnick is a very popular guy. But if I get the word out as to how he has voted, I think people will at least give a look at maybe saying, wait a minute, that's not what I want. And I think you could do that same thing certainly with Ben Cross and just about every one of the others.
There's a gentleman that's been on the board
This
has
is
asked a
something.
question.
Can you say lockstep with the union? You said lockstep with the Democrats.
I'd say Union Democrats, the big labor.
Oh, the way you're sounding, it was, you're asking people only to run against the Republicans.
Oh, no, I said all
No.
10.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
Wait, rewind.
I specifically didn't say 11, I said
No,
10.
you said,
I think
Yeah.
there you go.
but now there will only be 9, correct?
Oh, that's true, it's going to, yeah, we
There's
only
only
got 9.
nine choices now.
That's right, so it'll
Only
be
9.
8 actually that we want to rip out of their seats that they think are theirs for
And it
life.
really shouldn't be, we have an enormous challenge ahead of us, and that is to make the people aware of how the commissioners voted and how informed they were about the votes that they took. And if that's really where we need to concentrate. Like Jim said, he's going to run against one of our most popular Muskegon County residents. Bob Skolnick is one of the best guys you would ever meet. He is philanthropic, he's big-hearted, he will donate to anything. But the problem is, a lot of those donations are coming out of our pocket.
But he
So-
won't donate to anything. He will only donate if his name is getting
I
notified. I'll tell you that
But
right now.
one thing you gotta remember.
Well, I'm not
is-
going after Bob Skolnick, the person, I'm going after Bob
Right, Bob
Skolnick's voting record. I'm not
But
gonna
one
talk
thing,
about
one thing you
it.
gotta
Nobody
remember
knew any
is
of that.
people don't see, unfortunately, the people don't see what's happening at the county commission meetings. What they see is the candidate waving to them and throwing candy from the parade, or they see him when he shows up at the grand opening of the Berry Junction Trail, or the new museum, or the Silverside's big thing they have on Memorial Day, or they see him down putting in flags down at Veterans Park. When they see him, they associate that with being a good commissioner. because that person is so active in the community. He's holding a shovel in front of the Chronicle on the day of caring for your native way. That does not automatically make you a good county commissioner. It's possible that the person who's running for him, or in Alan's case, there's going to be two county commissioners running off against each other. When one of them shows up at all those events and is there every single night of bike time and every single night of hot rod time, and the other candidate is meeting with the police chief trying to figure out how in the world we're going to get enough funding, and down there talking to the bus drivers about what they really need to make the mass bus system work rather than throwing money at a new terminal. I mean, when that guy is out there working for you and all you see is the other guy, when it comes time to vote and you walk in, you say, oh, I remember him. Wasn't that the guy in the blue shirt that waved at everybody down there? Yes, it is. But that doesn't mean he's the best person for that job. And that's what we need to be able to get across, is we need to hire the best person for the job.
I don't know how we're gonna, all three of us, I guarantee are gonna be in for races.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Mahoney ain't
It's
gonna give up
be
easy because he's only got 2 years to go.
done. That's right.
Jim Drzezinski is, runs bike time and runs
And runs, he
He
told
told me
me,
that
Conrad Hardy. It's gonna be
Jim told me
power
today
to
that
it.
he has been trying to get off of all of that and get away from it, and he just can't.
That Bob was Bob, so.
right.
I mean,
And what
they-
Well,
the,
again, again, people are, the whole sole reason for the Tea Party is people got a huge number of multi-millions of people got sick and tired of voting for the party or voting for the guy that Susie's talking about. They're interested in, wait a minute, how did you vote? And again, like I say, it's pretty simple. I mean, one of the nice things is, did you vote, our county's $100 million in debt. Did you vote for every single one of the union contracts that came in front of you? Because that's 80% of the spending. Yeah. It's not rocket science. You don't need to talk about their dog or their lawn or their contributions to the church. Just talk about how they voted and spend 80% of the money.
But I disagree with you, because I just don't think if you run against unions in this town,
Well, like I say,
but we'll find
I
out.
mean, you
We're
can
gonna
do,
find out.
you can do your way, but I'm not gonna fight that way.
I don't either.
I would take little bites.
I-
There's
but what-
certain things they're doing wrong that we could do better. I'll take a little bite of what you're saying, because if I took your bite, I would.
that's I understand. He's elected, so he
Right, yeah.
you carry
It won't be
on.
your big a bite.
Well, as far as the Democratic commissioners, I'd like to see all of them go, but if we have two that I think I would like to see replaced more than anybody, except, well, of course, the ones that we're running against, but the other two that I really see that need to be replaced is Scott Plummer and Ben Cross, for two reasons. One, they never ask any questions, although Mr. Plummer has started to ask some questions. But Commissioner Cross and Scott Plummer, both of them are, the persona they present is angry. They're almost always mad if somebody asks any kind of question that would have anything to do with a union guy's jobs, benefit, pay, or anything. I mean, just, and if a department head comes to them and says, at the, for example, out at the airport, they don't need the lawn guy in the winter, and they don't need the snow shoveler in the summer. So what they wanted to do is they wanted to get rid of, a guy was retiring, and instead of replacing him, they wanted to hire 2 part-times for the summer and 2 part-times for the winter. They could get, a lot more people than just the one, and put them on part-time. And it would be just about the same amount of money. Oh, they were just absolutely dead set against that, because that was going to eliminate a union job if they were part-time. Well, excuse me, they could do so much better that way. I mean, they were just dead set against it. And little things like that that make so much sense. They're so union-oriented and so adamant about it that they're not willing to listen to any kind of reason at all. And that alone should be enough for people to say, hold on just a second, there's other people out there. You just, okay?
Oh, yeah, I want to add to that, because I think if Jim went back through his tapes, he will find at one of the meetings, Commissioner Cross, it would have been one that Commissioner Skolnick, Bob Skolnick is chair of community development or something, anyway, community
Strategic planning,
and,
community development.
right, and he brings in business people to come and speak in front of the board. Now, I happen to be downtown, and to this day, it leaves a bitter taste in my mouth, because Commissioner Cross asked a business owner what kind of wages he was
Oh,
paying
yeah.
and hoped that it would be good wages.
And it was union.
And it wasn't union. Was his shop union?
No, but it wasn't that guy.
No,
It
it
was
was the guy
Scott,
from Montague.
it was Scott Erdman, from
Yeah,
Erdman
from-
Machining.
From up there.
And they
up in
actually
Montague or
make,
something.
parts that go up into space. They make stuff for NASA. And he said, well, I hope you pay a decent wage.
And I hope
And
you
he
do.
turned,
I
and he
mean-
turned around and he said, I pay a good wage. And he didn't say, nobody else said anything, but I mean, he was a.
But
but-
it's not up to the county board of commissioners to determine whether what a business should be paying or not paying. Their job, I mean, Bob.
He was
I
real
think-
sarcastic when he said it.
No
too.
offense intended here, but I think Bob's point was he was trying to bring in business people and the growth and the development that they're offering the
Yeah.
community and make everybody
Show
feel
that our
good.
county is
And
moving
instead, the
forward.
commissioner goes and slams them, you know. it's-
Blue collar fall right into that.
Yeah,
Well,
Mahoney,
yes,
they fall right in.
I think the point is,
No,
no matter how you
the
want to
point
run your campaign, we have all the information for somebody who's interested in running.
If you
So
know
can
anybody.
pick anything you want to go, if you're going to run against an opponent's voting record, we have it available. So,
Right.
and if you know somebody, I personally think it's going to be a lot easier to beat somebody this time around than it may have ever
Well, I
been.
think so too.
in-
And
in
although Bob
Muskegon County.
Skolnick and the several people on the GOP don't believe it, I believe there is a sentiment out there that says vote them all out. Which I'm sorry for Alan, but it doesn't make a difference for him because his challenger is also a county commissioner. So that really, the vote them all out didn't make a difference for him.
I gotta get it done.
Right.
But it will accomplish what they
but-
wanted to accomplish with the enforcement, which I think is to.
All right, since it is now 7 o'clock and I know all of you are in a big hurry to get home and watch the president's State of the Union
No, that's not tonight.
I recommend Valium before you prepare, so that you don't throw something at the television.
Now, I have been warned